Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. This is another episode of the Inexorable WordNerd. I am your host, Ryan Palmer, and I've got a great guest this evening, a good friend of mine from Cornerstone Creative Studios. He's going to be joining us and showing some artwork. We're going to talk about current projects, future projects, and we're going to talk a little bit about Dungeons & Dragons. So if you guys like gaming and you guys like artwork and comic books, then this could be a good episode. Javier is a good dude, so I'm happy to be able to corner him this evening and get him in here to do the stream. So without further ado, I would like to play our opener. Thank you to Jesse Blaze, who's Jesse Snyder, for donating the track KO for our opener. And so here we go.
Come on. Yeah. Yeah. I'm kissing everything. Just wait till that bell rings.
Fantastic. Now, all right, if I can figure it out here. Yeah, I'm still technologically inept, and so we're ready to go. How you doing, Javier?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad that you're able to join me this evening, bud.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to stream again. Last time we streamed, I think a couple of months ago, we had a studio stream that was great.
Mm-hmm.
With Mickey and Jesse, and we had Rick Bonilla was in there. It was a good time getting together with all the guys and seeing each other during the this COVID apocalypse, and be able to actually have human contact is kind of cool, even if it is long distance.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice seeing people instead of seeing their avatars and their replacement pictures. So
to see a real human being. It's just like.
I mean, we also get to see how, 6 months of self-isolation really doesn't phase us artists. That's how we live. It's our lifestyle.
Or we can see how it's completely affected them. Like we can see how it's destroyed them if they've been, you never know. Like where you're at could be like Mad Max. It could be, it could be all leather and flames and post-apocalyptic vehicles and stuff. I mean, I'm still pulling for that to happen. I think that's anytime now. Hey, Gat came in.
I think snowmobiles will be pretty cool. Just adds a couple of spikes and it becomes a zombie mobile. Bam, just run through zombies like crazy. But that's just me. I like, tractors and tanks and stuff.
Thanks for coming by, Gat. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, he said YouTube app is crashing, so he's got the app on his phone to watch. I appreciate you coming in, man. If it goes fucking squarely on you, I'll completely understand. So, I want to jump in, and you mentioned that you have some art to show. Do you have some? Would you like to share a screen and show some of that off? It's a good time for it.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and take a look. Give me a couple minutes. I'll start pulling it up. I'm pulling it off from just doing a Google search for Javier Lugo comics. And, if there's any way you can jump in there and take over for that.
Sure.
That would be fantastic. So,
hey, I would love to take over, and I definitely have a lot to say. So let's get right into that. I'll give you some time to pull up some artwork, and I won't hold it against you because you're not fucking ready, Javier. So,
listen, I'm ready with the gab, not with the art. That's my reputation as an artist. I know it's horrible.
Well, this first piece that we have here is fantastic. We've got everybody signed here. Let me move this so we can get a good look at that. Absolutely, yeah. Jesse Ink there. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's fantastic. And the reason why I'm showing American Eagle artwork tonight is because you guys are going to Indiegogo. I already talked with Dan about that, Dan Horowitz, and he said that you guys are going with the campaign. So he's putting up his own money, and so it's going to be a very humble campaign. We're not looking for a large amount. I believe we need $2,500 to complete the book, and he's going to put up the rest. So that's going to be American Eagle here. That's a beautiful image of him there, and I love this cover here. Mickey, this pin up here, I think they might be using it as a cover as well, but But that turned out great. That's Donato. He's a beautiful cover artist.
Yeah.
And Mickey Clausen did the colors, and he worked with me. Mickey's always great every time I work with him. He did my Mammoth Monk pages for CG Jumpstart, and so I
Okay.
love his colors. Yeah, he has good instinct with it, and he's brilliant. And he's fun to work with too. He's a good guy. Spoke with him many times on the phone this year when we were talking about upcoming projects. So, so those are two pieces of pinup art that we're going to have with the campaign, and then the artwork that you're doing. Then we're going to have the actual book, and we'll probably come up with a few other things to go along with that. You know, what's something else that's cool too is we've talked about it in house, but Daniel writes American Eagle, and his wife
Mhm.
does Striking Swan. I've got an image of that here, but
Oh, okay.
they're both professional writers,
Oh,
and
that's
so
gorgeous.
yeah, it is. It's fantastic. But that's what I'm saying, man. I want to, ultimately, my goal has always been to seek funding so that I can put all you guys to work. Is what I'd like to do.
That will be a
Because you guys,
beautiful day.
absolutely, man. Yeah, that's the goal. I want to put you guys to work because everybody is so talented. There's so many guys. It's just like a lot of times I just get lost. I can't even remember who did what because there's so much artwork and so many talents flying around. But I can't even recall who did this. But I know it's a digital painter. So this is a guy who did this start to finish. I want to say it starts with an N, his last name, but I can't recall because he was
You
brought
know
after.
what?
But that looks great.
Jesse was commenting about that and showing us updated pictures on it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I haven't had a lot of contact with that artist, but there's a lot of guys that are like that that are digital painters. One of them's Reginald Kira as well, who's very good, and he did the Meteor Marley that I've been posting uh, on Twitter. So, and he's another guy that's a renderer that goes start to finish. He's one stop shop. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, so yeah, yeah, absolutely. Talented people. I want to put all you guys to work. Let's
I
do it. That's the plan is to get funding for the books. My passion work, of course, too, but all the titles across the board. I mean, we got a lot of titles, a shitload of titles. It's time. You know, it's
yeah.
time. I know my
Yeah.
title's getting pushed back. I definitely want to. I'm excited to launch it, but I'm also patient and I'm not in a hurry to do the relaunch. So, it is what it is. I mean, even if I have to wait and come up and put up my own dime to do it, which I put a lot of my own money in already to get the preview material. I don't mind spending my own money on it. It's just not there right this minute. App is working well for me. Good to see you, Javier. Brett. Oh yeah, friend of yours here.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, friend and collaborator, actually. We're working on a comic book together. And actually, that's one of the things I do have access to. I'm going to be sharing that later on. The title is called The Green Tempest. And I've been penciling and inking that for several months. And it's been a great experience. I've been learning a lot on this book, as I do with anything that I do, man. Every time I draw something, I learn from it. Every time I make a mistake, I learn from that too.
yeah,
And it's one of those things. That's one of the great things about doing art. I mean, writing music, drawing. It's every time you do it, you just learn something more, and you get better at it. Just if by nothing else, just by doing it many times repetitively, you just instinctively get better at it. So at least that's been my experience.
I think you're absolutely right. It's everything's a learning process with it while you're going through it. I mean, promotion and it was the same for me for writing. I had to go through trial and error, essentially self-taught. You get pointers and things, but you just find your style and go with it. And I've taken dedicated years to do that. So it's a beautiful thing when you get it there. When you get it there after you get through all of that stuff and you get to the point where you're confident with it. Gat Henzo here says, "Whoa, yeah, great colors." Yeah, that was Mickey. We were talking about it in DMs, Gat, where Mickey Clausen on the Mammoth Monk pages, and so that's the same dude that did the colors for that as well. He's done some phenomenal stuff. He's a renderer as well, so he can go start to finish if you hire him, and his work's beautiful if he does so. Like if you have him do that, or if you have him color over his own inks. If someone else inks it, he's good as well. But I notice Mickey really shines if he inks the pencils and then colors over his own inks. Hail, Edwin. What's up, buddy? Hail, people. Yeah, Gat likes his colors. Yeah, he's definitely talented. We've got a bunch of guys. I'm going to try to find somebody different for pages we're doing with Rick. We've got those. Those are special pages. I was happy to get a green light on that. I've been waiting actually for a few years to do a vault intro story, and I finally convinced Jesse to go for it. So we're going to pull out all the stops. Rick and I are going to work hard, meticulously, to make those pages beautiful, and then I'm going to get someone very good on the colors so that the fans get something special for waiting for CG for the relaunch, CG Jumpstart. So that's what we've been working on.
Well, good luck, man. I mean,
Thanks,
these
man.
are all of our projects of, passion.
Yeah.
You can't really describe it any other way when you're taking time away from family and friends and your own life to put pencil to paper for long stretches of time with just you and your imagination and, of course, reference. It's it's hard on the psyche. It's hard on the friendships, and it's hard on you because it's just you and your own judgment. And you know how we can get, man. Everybody, with this isolation stuff, it's very easy to be despective about your work and not really put it in perspective.
Yeah.
And I've even certainly at some point just decided to say, hey, you know what? Screw it. I really don't care what anybody thinks, including myself, about my work.
Well, let me help you, Javier. The best way to do it is just to completely shut everybody out of your life. Be a complete introvert, right? You put a wall on all four sides around yourself, and this invisible shield, and don't let anybody in. And then after you've completely died inside, then at that point you can go ahead and concentrate fully on your work and not have any distractions. So.
Well, I mean, it's
just a suggestion. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody has to go that route, but
I mean, if I were hoity-toity little writer, I'll go to my summer cabin up in New England and write for a couple months, and just stay by the lake and stuff. But I'm a working bud. That's
interesting that you said that. I was gonna dig my thick turtleneck out of the drawer and go out to the hideaway camp and do my writing. Yeah, that's not exactly how it happens. I wonder that's a kind of a cliche. Who does that?
Of course it is.
You go off to some kind of escape, I don't know if it's a cliche, but that's like a stereotype actually, that writers are all. I wasn't like that, man. I started writing when I was 30, and I lived a lot of life. I'm like and so physical guy. Played hockey. I cut wood at a very young age. My father was a lumberjack, and so there's a lot of and then experienced. It was like my dad. Like, we did a lot of labor work, and he was a nerd. He was like a Trekkie before it was cool. He was like, he collected the first 300 Marvel issues ever printed, and so inside he was a geek, but on the outside he was man's man. Yeah. I mean, I could only hope to be as much, but he loved the writing. He loved the writing I did. He was my biggest fan, and so he loved that part of it. He's a philosopher, big influence on my life. So I wish if I crackheads to get to the post office instead. Yeah.
Are we talking voting here?
No. He was we were talking about what writers do. Get Hanzo is the writer for Vestige, and so they had a huge campaign for their first book, and I purchased it and read it. I've got it right over here, and it was fantastic. He's a very talented writer. And then he wrote Vestige 2, and that's up on Indiegogo right now, and doing very well. But he's saying no, yeah, he's saying no lakes, because we're talking about people going to the lake house to go write, and he's like, haha, I wish I got to fight crackheads to get to the post office instead. We got a lot of those around here too, Gat. It's no different. Seriously, like, I got to have a piece for self-defense because there's like house break-ins that happen here where I'm at. Yeah, fuck yeah, it's real, man. And nobody's getting in here on that. Yeah, they have house break-ins, and I think recently they robbed a pharmacy. There was like a standoff, okay? And the police were all like a town over because they called in everybody. Like, they called in the state police and everything because it was some kind of standoff. Apparently it was a hostage with a weapon, and they knew all the police were there. And then like a couple of them went and like jumped the pharmacy and stole like prescription meds from the pharmacy. It was on the news, and then like people's houses getting broken into. They're raiding.
Wasn't there a movie, a Die Hard movie, that something like that happened? All the cops went to one spot and then they went and robbed the bank on Fifth Avenue or whatever? Yeah,
it was exactly like that, only they were junkies and stealing pain medication or whatever the fuck they were taking, I imagine they're not stealing like meds for their grandma, like for cataracts or Like, they weren't getting her blood pressure medicine. I mean, I imagine they were up to no good. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But
Yeah, lots of people need those, man. I had a couple jobs where I was on the phone doing this and trying to get people their benzos and all this other stuff through Medicaid. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
harsh
it gets pretty
conversations,
rough.
man. Yeah,
I don't want to judge people who have an issue, but if you have an issue, you work on it on yourself and don't take, taking from other people and taking from, especially breaking into old people's homes and stuff. Like when I heard about that, I was like, yeah, that's a piece of shit, and it ain't happening to me. So I'm not a pushover, you know what I mean? And I got a family. I'm not fucking playing around. I sleep with
not
a
at
loaded
all.
weapon. Yeah, I sleep with a loaded weapon, and it's not a nice weapon either. So make sure, it's not like a tough guy thing, but it's just like I'm not a pushover, and I'm not going to have some crackhead kicking in my door and stealing what my family's got. I work for everything I got. So I work fucking damn hard for it. I
I
always labored
understand
hard.
that.
The whole life has been that way. My father was a laborer as well. So um, always very hard work. So, which is a good thing though. That's a good thing because I have a work ethic. If I took that and I applied that to my love for creation and for comics.
Hmm.
And so I have the work ethic and I love the work. It doesn't feel like work after doing, if you go put 12 hours in the woods hauling logs and then you go and write a comic book, getting to sit and get paid to write comics or write tabletop RPG content, like when I was working for Jared, it was just like it was a dream come true,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
feel you.
I
Oh
know how you
yeah.
feel, Gat. I absolutely know how you feel. Yeah, I mean, I picked one up a little while. I mean, I always hunted. We're a big hunting area where I'm at, and I grew up hunting. My dad always had rifles. We had deer rifles. We got deer, moose, and small game as
Mm.
well. So we always were shooting. We did skeet shooting, and I'm pretty good at that. So I'm a good shot. And so I did a lot of that. And Dad had hogs and stuff, and we butchered. So hunting for wild game and meat is a part of it. So I've always been familiar with firearms, but recently I got something more that's more tailored not for hunting, but for personal defense, just for that reason, so that just in case something like that happened. And it's good, to be able to protect your family is definitely a right that we want to exercise. If you're in an area where there's a lot of shit like that happening, protect yourself. Don't
Of
be afraid
course.
to, you know what I mean? You're not, especially in an emergency situation, it's not like you're going to have time to call 911 and have the police. That's not always like it's an option, but it's not always an option that will,
Hmm.
they may not be there in time.
I mean, I would think that, if criminals had any kind of sense, they would kind of understand that a lot of people are home right now
Yeah,
because they got no jobs or,
that's
they're
right.
got, furloughed. So, the attractiveness of breaking in hopefully is diminished. And, just I'm assuming there's some other alternate career path for that type of criminal. I don't know. They don't
I,
watch this
I
video, I'm
think,
sure.
I mean, knowing people, especially if there's someone who's desperate uh, in a situation like that, I want to say 9 times out of 10 they probably scouted the place they're jumping into
Hmm.
because we see stories all the time about the people 30-06 of personal defense caliber. Yeah, absolutely. I got a handpiece. It's a 40 caliber. I've got regular and hollow points for it too. So
Hmm.
and I like that. That's a hand cannon. So
Yeah. Recently, my family's been armoring up. I mean, it's like,
well, yeah, I mean, you don't want, especially with everything that's going on, you don't, if you're in an area where there's a lot of protests as well, I'm not saying go out and shoot protesters, obviously, but like
right.
people come to your home, it's a totally different thing. I don't care about what cause you're for. If you come to my house and you kick my door in or you're in my yard where you're in on my property where my kids sleep, like none of that shit's going to matter because if you come to my home and you're doing something that I don't like, then you're subject to the consequences of that. That's the way I look at it. Like
You
my
know,
family comes first. Everybody should be that way, should
yeah.
always be. But
I'm not an expert, of course, in legal issues, but here in Florida, yeah, we have the stand your ground laws here. So,
yeah,
people tend to kind of understand if you push your way into a house, you you can have a clip emptied into you, and cops are going to be like, "Yeah, you defended your home. There you go."
that's right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was saying before when we started on the subject, saying like we see the stories about the people that haven't scouted home. They're just kicking a random door in, and you got to understand that, especially today, the way this year has been. kicking in a random door, you're going to run into the wrong guy, and then they're going to unload on you, and that's going to happen. So, and it has
Yeah.
happened. We've heard stories about it, or they have a big ass fucking dog, or like a handful of dogs. Like I know a lot of guys. Like there's a guy around here that breeds Dobermans, and he had a dog in his car one time. When I saw it, it scared the fuck out of me. I'm not even kidding. Like there's real mean bitch. Like I say that like it was a breeding Doberman, like a light brown Doberman, and she had a smile that made me want to pee. I wanted to go pee pee when I looked at it. Like she was vicious.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah,
can't pass through, and
you can't really intimidate a dog you don't know, and you can't really reason with it unless you got
this
like a
dog,
pork chop on you or something. So
this dog was a hellhound. This was something straight out of a horror movie. I'm not even kidding. Like I definitely would not want to get bit by that thing. You put up the best fight you can, but I mean it was essentially like an alligator. Like it was just the freakiest thing I've ever seen. If you can't pass, I've got a Dark Mad Bat here saying if it can't pass through the engine block, how else can I defend myself against home
using
home
engine
inventors
block.
using engine blocks as body
That's
armor?
body armor. Listen, if you can carry an engine block on your chest, take whatever the hell you want. Really?
Yeah, make your own. He's got the right idea. Make your own Iron Man suit. That's what you do. Make a homemade Iron Man. Use this time while you're at home wisely and make a Iron Man suit. So you're
listen,
invincible all the time. Sleep in it.
I can always invest in a flamethrower. It's got a range of 50 yards. If you're in my house, I'll burn the whole damn thing down so you don't take it from me. Whatever.
I like that.
You know?
That's a sacrifice. Burn your entire house down to
Yeah, I got a fire extinguishers. Yeah, I'll flame you up.
punish
Wait
them.
a couple minutes. There
Yeah,
you go.
remind me to not break into your house. I'm gonna have to write that down. I'm gonna cancel robbing Javier this week.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Listen, if I ever were to get into a situation like that, I like blades. I like knives. Knives isn't my thing. I can throw them. I can hold them in my hand. I could, firearms, whatever. That's cool. Do your thing. But to stab somebody, I'm thinking. Not that I've ever done it, but to stab somebody, it's kind of personal. You really got to mean it. And I actually had this conversation with my dad. I avoided a lot of trouble by grabbing my knife, and then if I got to take 10 steps, that's 9 steps I could think about it, and then say, hey, stop, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. It is pretty brutal. Gat Hanso says, "Just be Tony Stark." I like that. If you can be Tony Stark, and then be him.
I can't even grow his beard, man. Forget that.
Well, you and me both, man. I'm still waiting for mine. I'm almost 40 and I can't grow a decent beard. So I've got Dark Mad Bat here saying you can't steal shit if it's on fire. That's absolutely true.
That's right. And ammo tends to blow up on high temperature, right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Burn the whole thing down. You can always buy a new house, but they can't buy a new life. So just remember that. I got Gat Hanzo here saying, yeah, now we're talking katanas. Yeah, you take the knife and then go the next. Do not bring a knife to a katana fight. Is what we is kind of the moral of this entire stream, I think now. I didn't mean for it to go there, but I just think that's a great lesson that everybody
if nothing else, we get to express ourselves this way. And it's not like it's recorded forever. People are gonna bring it back to us and say, hey, remember that time? Nah, nobody's gonna do that.
No, I think they'll forget about it instantly. I think it's going to be instantly forgettable. But I like the idea of katana. I have a sword collection. I mean, I don't expect to break out a sword or something if someone broke in my home. But if that was closer than my weapon, I had to. I think I'd probably do that. I've got a sword collection, a humble one. It's not a big one, but I've got a handful of swords that I like that I picked up. And then, But as far as a knife, too, I've had to keep a knife on me before. I've kept a knife in my boot. I've kept a knife in my, down the back of my pants before. I've had a couple situations where I had to do that. And I mean, I never had to use it on anybody, but, just having it, if it came down to that, if it was a situation where I was outnumbered, then, that's what it is. But my brother was having trouble with people at a hangout he was going to. And then he picked up a military grade taser from one of his buddies, and these 3 guys jumped him. He was telling me the story about it, right? And they were beating on him, and it was crazy. He told me he was curled up he said he was curled up in a ball and they were all pounding on him. And one of the guy was driving like straight, like 12 to 6 elbows into his back. And I guess the rumor, what happened was the guy had his elbow reconstructed. So he had like metal in his elbow. So he was driving that into my brother's back. And he showed me after the whole thing was over, like it literally peeled chunks out of his back when he was hitting him with it. The guy was just driving an elbow and the other guys were kicking and stuff. And as soon as they all kind of tired and thought he was done, he whipped the taser out of its holster. And he 1, 2, 3 put all 3 of the guys down. Like they stopped for a second because they were beating on him for a while, and he just turtled up. And then they were kind of stopped to see what kind of damage they did to him. And he just whipped the taser out. 1, 2, 3, touched them all, put them all on the ground. And then he told me he tased them after till they pissed their pants while they were on the ground. Yeah, and then that was that. So crazy story.
Wow, that is pretty crazy. I got nothing compared to that. Not even the comics I draw, man.
Dude, they were trying to rob him. Like he told, it was crazy. Like one of the guy's girlfriends too didn't even give up after that. Like the other 3 guys totally like were out cold, pissed their pants, and she dove and tried to get money out of his pocket. Like he had money in his pocket. We're trying to like empty his pockets, and he's walking out of the place, and she's dragging on the ground next to him. Like yeah, it was crazy. Like crazy story.
Wow, is that money. Just standard drunkenness up there, or is that?
Oh, dude, no, just all kinds of crazy shit up here. Like, I can't even believe it. I'm in a pretty remote area. It's like small town shit, but it just got overtaken by drugs and all kinds of shit. So yeah, there's some crazy shit going on. You know, I imagine there's a lot of that everywhere, though. It's been big cities or wherever you're at. I mean, you're going to have issues with that, but they're just looking to get money. Looking to get money from people you know, they look for a target. If they're one of those people it's going to take from someone else, and
yeah,
despicable people.
I get that. Sometimes not sometimes, all the time. You got to be watching out, you know, because not everybody's an alpha dog, you know, not everybody is. I understand that. I'm not an alpha dog, you know, so I got to be ready in case somebody does start some shit. I got to be ready because otherwise, not only will I lose, my family loses. So I always got to be on the defensive.
Yeah, and I think that's something that just you have to learn from experience. Because I lived life, you know, I've been out there and I've been in hangouts where everything was great, but I was always very social. But so I've been in some hangouts that were not so great. You know what I mean? I went to go hang out at a place one time. Went to go have a drink, and some guy had a 9mm and he was waving around in the room, and we were already there. It was like a place out in the sticks. You know what I mean? It's different. Like people think the city is. You know, there's more people, so there's a higher chance for stuff to happen. But, you know, as a kid growing up, if you're out at a pit party and someone picks a fight with you, you're not calling anybody for help. You're there. That's it. You got any friends that you have, if something comes up, there's not really, and if you get beaten to submission, you know, or you get pounded, there's nowhere to turn really for help. You know, you're outside, you're out in the sticks in a remote area. If you get a ride out there, you know, you travel however many miles to get out somewhere, you're there, you're stuck, you know, so you got to face it. And so you get in enough situations like that and you learn to think for yourself. You know, like I talk about these few situations that come up, but honestly, most of the time, probably about 95% of the time, I can just talk my way out of it. If you didn't guess that. I've got a lot to say. As a word nerd, I've got a lot to say, and I'm pretty crafty. A lot of times I can just talk my way out of it. And that's mainly because, as a rule, I haven't found a man that I can't outsmart, outfight, or outfuck. So I'll find some way to fucking win if I have to. I got 3 options to beat you if I can. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm short and fat, so I just try to make myself as unpalatable as a target as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That works too as well. Yeah, you can find ways to get around it, but you know, if you've been in enough situations, I think that it's just inevitable that something's going to happen. I'm sure you've had it happen in your life too, where you get in a situation where someone won't back down, and they still want to brawl, and you got to be ready for that day. You can't be afraid of it, man. You got to face it. So you got to face the fire sometime. You know what I mean? But yes, yeah, especially. Yeah, I'd like to go into some more artwork. Let me jump in here. I've got the showcase book, I believe. Oh no, I think I only have my showcase book. I'm not sure if I've got. Yeah, I only have my showcase book. Show the American. Hey, do you have your American Eagle artwork? We can show people.
Well, I was trying to share my screen before, and the technology told me I can either share it or cancel. And I tried to share, and it wouldn't work, so I had to
Yeah, hit
cancel.
share.
Well, no, it wouldn't let me. I pressed share. It was grayed out, so I couldn't do it.
Oh, I got it. Okay, hit share. Hit share screen. And then hit the button for it.
Yeah, of
Okay?
course. Yeah.
And then you have to click on the actual window that's there. You see it?
Oh, no kidding. It's that simple.
Yeah, just click on that
Man.
and then hit share. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, I got it now. I got it now.
All right, now I'll see it on my end. It'll come up once you've clicked that and share it. We'll show some people the stuff that you're working on now.
Well, I'll share some old artwork because what I'm. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. Hold on.
I'll
Man,
tell
I
the
keep
story.
forgetting. Yeah,
While
go
you're
ahead.
I'll watch for it and I'll tell the story here. Dark Mad Bat says there was a guy at a bar I used to frequent, pulled out his gun to show off to his friends. The owner walks up to him and just slapped him in the back of the head, told him to stop being an idiot, and then the next comment is idiot because he ran out of words. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whipping your gut out in public is definitely not something that I would suggest doing. But it's tough too. I've seen a lot more people with open carry recently as well. And we've got a lot more out-of-staters where I'm at too, because people are trying to get out of populated areas. So, but I've seen a lot of people that are just straight up open carry. But we're concealed carry anyway. You can have either. You can open carry and conceal. Oh no, I think you have to get a permit for concealed, but that's if there's that whole route, the legal route.
Exactly. It's true. True.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
but you can just open carry. So I mean, it doesn't matter. Like you can have it out in the open here. So, I mean, I don't take it that far, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. It's one of those things I really don't want anybody to know. If I'm carrying on,
Yeah,
I don't need that
that's the
attention.
argument. Well, that's the argument, I think, is that if you open carry, does it keep you safe or does it draw attention? It depends, I guess, on who it is that sees it. But, whatever you got to do to feel safe is what it is, man. Especially in this day. And it's probably not getting any better either. Shit's getting fucking crazy out there. And with the internet, we're seeing much more of it. Maybe people were always that crazy. It's just now we're seeing more of it because the internet, I think.
Yeah.
But here we go. This is your artwork right here.
Yeah. This is a very old Thor piece that I did, probably around 2011.
Hey,
It's
nice.
an old drawing. Thank you.
Yeah, I like it.
So I got that one, and I have this World War Hulk I did a long time ago. I hired a colorist to color this up with like flames and stuff, and it
Yeah.
looks so darn good in color. I just don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool,
opened
man.
up
I
the
like that.
American. I opened up the American Eagle one, but I haven't been able to find anything there just yet. So,
What do you mean? Why? What's up?
Yeah, it's just giving me like, oh, okay, it took a while to get here. All right, let me open the pencils up here so I can share that.
Yeah, that'd be great, man, if we can get into that show. Now, these are pages from American Eagle.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to be, as a studio, we're launching on Indiegogo. I don't think Gat Hansen says nice Thor, by the way.
Well, thank
I
you.
don't think that they've set a date yet, but I know that that the pages are paid for. I know that Dan's paying you guys to start, and he's putting up his own money on the books. So,
Well, yeah,
it's going to be humble. I think it's 2,500 is what we're looking for to finish the graphic novel. I want to say he's doing 50 pages too, so he's doing a graphic novel. So
okay.
we just need a humble. I think it's 2,500 is what he's looking for, and he's putting up the other half himself, which is
Okay.
fantastic. And Dan's a talented writer. He taught me a lot of things about writing. He gave me the best piece of information. Well, the best piece of advice that I've ever gotten from anybody as far as my writing, to shape my writing.
Okay.
He told me, don't assume people are stupid, is what he told me. And when he told me that at first, I didn't get it. I was like,
How did you take that?
when I took it, the way I took it at first was, I got defensive instantly because I'm like, what have I done to convey to you that I think everybody I come to is an idiot? The people I write, I love the people I'm going to be writing to because I want them to read my work. I don't think they're stupid. I'm thinking that in my head, and I kind of asked him to explain it, and ultimately, I didn't even understand his explanation of it and how it applied to my work. Like, I heard the words, but I wasn't able to apply it to what I was doing to my work at the time. So it didn't
Hmm.
sink in. It took till later when I was writing. Like, I went back through editing all my scripts because I went through them several times to make sure they were good. And the more time I had, the more I went through it and reanalyzed it. And then I realized what he was talking about was that I was over explaining a lot of things.
Hmm.
And it was mainly because I was afraid that people weren't going to get it, that they weren't going to get me. And I wanted to make sure they knew all of the cool little details of my story and all the details of the characters. And I was explaining everything, but I was essentially over explaining, and it was ruining the work in a way.
I
And
see.
so,
Yeah.
so by him telling me that, it was, and me, going out and talking with other creators and being in the community, and promoting and hearing feedback and things, I realized that that's what it was, and that other people love pop culture as much as me. They're well read, and that I can kind of leave more or less a lot of it as a mystery, or they'll get it even if it's just reference, or it's a theme that's referenced in my story. So I was able to cut back a lot of my dialogue then, which was great, and tell better stories. And my sequentials are infinitely better, because being able to focus on the story more and not trying to explain everything. The panels it's smooth, and trusting the artist enough. 'Cause you guys are talented, like trusting the artist to tell the story visually as well, and then gauging that balance. It's a balance because you're trying to, as a writer, you're telling a story and you're also describing the panels. So your dialogue tells some of the story, and you're trusting the artist to express it visually and to match, and then you're telling a better story that way than trying to do it
Yeah.
all with words. I was
I
trying to
gotta.
do it all with words, so
eh, A lot of the comics that I enjoyed reading as a child, as a kid, uh, were comics that actually had to do some research on what did this word mean? What was this theory they were talking about? Is this a real thing, or is just some made up comic book fake science thing? That. So I think that piece of counsel was really really smart on his part.
mm,
And it's one of those mistakes that's a mistake that you can see in retrospect now, like, oh my gosh, this is so obvious, I shouldn't have done it. But when you're in the middle of creating it, you're feeling really justified in saying, hey, I just want to make sure my story is understood.
mm.
And it takes
I
a,
had to
a
let
higher
go.
overview to say, no, you're not there to explain yourself. You need to let the story run its course, and whoever wants to dive deeper into your story, well, hell, they can reach out to you. You can explain it. You can explain it in interviews, or people can find out on their own.
That's right. Or reading through the story and let the story have apt pacing. It has to be like, the pacing has to be right, and you'll tell a story eventually. There's only so much story you can tell in pages. You know what I mean? And
True.
so,
Yeah.
for me, even it's more challenging personally to write a short story, like 4 pages, than to write a full comic book, because writing a full 22-page story, you have that many pages to develop a story and tell a story. Whereas a short story, um, you've got to have that balance in a smaller amount of pages, so you have less pages to tell your story with, and to try and choose what would be a good story for 4 pages. That's what we came into, like with the CG Jumpstart pages that I was approved for. I had to pick a story that would start to finish 4 pages, or essentially, even if it's a cliffhanger, or if it's not a full story, if it's a sample, it needs to be something that they can start reading and get some, have a payoff at the end, and have enough pages to tell that story. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
so and so there were a lot of things that I wanted to do that I shot down, really, because I didn't feel um, that they would be good for that. But Vault, I knew I could come up with a story in 4 pages that would, and I thought it was great to have an exclusive preview too. And Vault's a great character, so, and he let me do a redesign that I wanted to
Oh
do. So
wow.
yeah, Jesse was really liberal with that. I was happy. I've been working on him for 2 years on that. We had another guy that was working on it, and oh, Rick Bonilla, you're watching on your phone. Oh, yeah, Rick's in the chat. That's cool, man. Thanks for coming by. I know I sent you the invite so you could come in and show some work, but
Oh my man.
if you can't get to a camera, if you can just do phone, that's cool. Come in the chat, man. I'm glad you're here. So yeah. So I was working on him for a couple of years, actually, trying any opportunity I got to bring it up, I brought up to him, hey, I got a killer idea for this story. We're having a hard time getting a script together here. Why don't you let me take a crack at it? And so he wanted to give the original guy that he put on it a chance, which is great. And he had AJ come in and help him as an editor to try and work the script. And I read the script as well. It wasn't something that we could publish. And so, oh yeah, this is your cover for IDW. Yep.
Yeah,
There
my
it is.
retailer exclusive, man. It's my only piece done by IDW. I mean, I did the pencils, and Martin Dunn did the inks, and Ali did the colors. And
Oh, I
I mean,
remember when that. Yep.
this is my childhood, man. I mean, running home from school, trying to catch the 3:30, showing of these cartoons. I mean, because even on Saturdays, they weren't on Saturdays. It was always freaking 3:30, and I got off of school at 3, so I had to hitchhike or, cut classes so I can get home early enough to watch this. So
Yeah, that's a tight cover, dude. I remember that came out. They did a bunch of variants for
Mhm.
that. It was a special Transformers GI Joe crossover. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Hasbro complete, mixing of Mask, of course, Transformers, ROM Space Knight, Micronauts.
Javier,
Yes, sir.
I just want to tell you, your Megatron and your hey, put that back up.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't say you could take that down, man. What are you doing?
Oh, well, be clear
I
with your
want-
words, dang it.
Well, well, leave it up so that I can kiss your ass. Hold on a second. We've got. I wanted to say your Megatron and your Optimus Prime, fantastic. Brings me back to my childhood, just like you said. It's just like out of the cartoon.
Yeah, I'm
Love it.
actually doing a front and back sketch cover of over 10 Transformers fighting each other in their cartoon style. I got Jetfire, I got, the 3 airplanes, I got the Porsche, the car, the police car, Prowler. I got Jazz, I got Bumblebee, Rumble, Thundercracker, the 2 Razorbeak, and the other ones.
Yeah.
It's been
Soundwave.
intimidating, man. Soundwave is in the background getting his butt kicked. I got, Prime ripping off Megatron's arm while he's ramming him into a wall. I mean, really cool stuff. And I've been so intimidated by this drawing. Warren commissioned this for me, and I thought, yeah, I'll take care of it in a week. It's been 4 weeks. I haven't been this freaked out about a piece since somebody said, hey, draw something for me. I'm going to put it as a tattoo. Draw Wolverine versus Sabretooth.
But it made you
It freaked
nervous
me
because they're gonna
out.
put it. It made you nervous because they're gonna put it on their body.
Because
You're
they
like,
told me, and I'm thinking every time I drew something, like this is not good enough to be on a paper, much less on somebody's skin. And I restarted. I ended up a year and a half later just giving the guy his money back. I say, listen, Pete, I love you like a brother, but the thought that you're gonna put this on you, I can't do it. I mentally couldn't do it. So from now on, if anybody needs a tattoo design, don't tell me it's for a tattoo. I'll draw whatever the heck you want, and whatever you need to do with it afterwards is fine. But just don't tell me, because I will freak out and not be able to finish.
that's funny, man. Yeah. So they come up to you and they tell you, Javier, I want you to take something from your mind and give it to me so that I can wear it forever. How does
Yeah,
that
that's
make you
not
feel?
intimate at all, right?
That's like exactly how I would say it. Only I'd find a creepier voice. Like I'd make sure it was completely awkward and uncomfortable.
Oh, dude, I got stories for quite some time about some of the commissions I've been asked to draw.
Mm.
Of course, you and I'm sorry, you didn't tell me I could leave. My bad. Um, but when you and I are offline, I'll share a couple with you. They're pretty interesting, and you know, and kind of risque for the PG-13 crowd. So, um, but
Good.
yeah, you know, it's fun. I love commissions. I'm sorry, comic book conventions, and I miss them like crazy too. I
Yeah.
didn't think I would, but I
You
did.
guys got some good shows where you guys are at over there. So
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'm very lucky to be, in the Tampa Bay area. This Tampa Bay convention came out of nowhere a couple years back. Boom, it's huge. Orlando is, a drive away. Miami, God, I did Miami. The first year was right after a hurricane, and I was trading drawings for pizzas in order to eat. Because I went down there, I had like $10 in my pocket, and I was gonna stay there 3 nights. So I had to hustle for the money to pay the hotel. I had no idea how I was gonna pay for it,
That's like
and I had
singing for your supper. Did you try singing for your supper first, or did you just go straight to the drawing?
no, no, no. This I see this bundle of kids coming to me, and they're all, oh, this is great, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, I'm super starving. I just want a slice of pizza. And the lady says, well, hey, listen, how much is a drawing? I said, $10. She says, I'll give you a pizza for 10 for that. I said, deal. And guess what? That from that point forward, it was pizza for a pie, and I got fat that weekend because she had like 7 kids. So I ate a lot of pizza, man, and I
Yeah.
drew a lot of Spider-Man.
Great. Yeah, they were Spider-Man fans, so you were doing. Hey, that's great, man. Yeah, Spider-Man's definitely one of my favorites. Then, when I was growing up, not so much now, but yeah, they're doing some silly stuff with Spider-Man now. I guess to each their own, but holy smokes, man. Yeah.
Okay, let me jump back in here and see if I can find some more recent artwork. Okay.
I need a green Tempest drawing for a tattoo. Can you do it for me?
Oh,
Brett
stop
said.
it, Brett. Stop it, Brett. You have all that art, man. I sent it to you. Actually, that's what I was gonna look for. So,
Oh, you
um,
mentioned that before the stream. Yep, absolutely.
yeah, let me go ahead and look
That
this
that was
up.
your newest project, and so
Well, it's
how
one of
many
the
pages
newest
do you?
ones. Yeah. Oh,
You
I'm
were
sorry. Go
showing
ahead.
some. No, I was going to say you were showing some of your American Eagle pages, and how many pages are you in on that? I know that he wanted to do 50 total. I'm not sure how
Right.
many you guys are doing before the crowdfund, but how many are you in now?
Well, I already did the 10 just to get the story started. I got 10 done, and those are the ones you guys hopefully saw. I
Hmm.
have layouts for another 20 pages.
Yeah.
So
Oh well,
hopefully
there.
I'll
So
yeah, so hopefully I'll go ahead and start tying those up because you know i- we've all grown as artists, and I'm reading the script and I'm making suggestions, and I need some clarification on some of the things because we're doing like military ops. And for example, one page said, okay, all the military guys, is a team of about 5 of them plus American Eagle, they're getting into a helicopter, right?
hmm,
Then they say they're in a hangar. So is that before they get in the helicopter or after? Is the helicopter in the hangar? That displacement of space was really jarring, and then suddenly they're over the jungle, which I get because it's in Vietnam. But then an RPG is flying at them. And I don't know anything about military weapons, but I looked it up, and RPGs have a range of 400 yards, accuracy at 300. And these guys are all paratroopers. They're supposed to leap off of this helicopter and parachute down. I'm thinking, this doesn't make any sense. Why would you
yeah.
have parachute troopers in a helicopter flying, I don't know, 400 feet off the ground that's been able to be shot at with an RPG? And they should be leaping from 20,000 feet high.
Could be.
See,
Maybe that was just the. You never know where he's going with it. That's
I,
all
I
you can do. It's tough to maybe the direction that you felt it should have went could have been one way, but all you can do is trust the script. That's his response. That's the
it,
way it always is, and I'm
well, of
sure.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when in one sentence, it's when it's giving me a visual of of leaping from a helicopter. Then it switches to, hey, they're leaping, they're opening their rear door down, they're leveling it down so they can leap off of the plane. I got lost. I'm like, wait
I'd
a
hit him
minute.
up. If it gets to
So,
that point, you always
and he
just hit
did
him up.
that. He's working on that. He's working on that right now. He's getting all that cleared up for me, so that way when I do the action, it's correct. Because I mean, if the guy's supposed to leap off, like, what comes to my mind is GI Joe 21 when Snake Eyes leaps out of the airplane in the
Yeah.
first page, right? And it's the silent interlude issue. Bam, that's what I'm thinking visually. But then it's a helicopter because there's 2 of them and they crash into each other. But then it's so yeah, it was really weird. So I brought it
Just
to
hit
the
him
end of
up
the
and
day.
ask him to take a look. Show him the layouts, and you guys. I'm sure you guys will hash it out. Get Hanzo says here, they ruined Spider-Man for me too. And yeah, and you know what the fucked up thing about it is that they waited for Stan Lee to kick off, and they were trying to go after him while he was still alive. They approached him with that question. I think it was a reporter. Somebody came in and approached him and suggested that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, be portrayed as a homosexual. Which it's one thing if it's your story, but Do what you want your story, but create your own character if you have a vision for something like that. And Stan Lee said the same thing. He was like, well, this is an already established character. We have fans for decades that have loved Spider-Man, and so his morals with all of it is that something was created, and why not keep creating that for the people that you've already won? You know what I mean? Why try to change it to make a new fan base when it's not broken? It's every Spider-Man's beloved, and that was kind of the theme of what's happening in mainstream comics, where new creators want to come in and they want to put their stamp on the market, and they're taking characters that are already established to do it with, taking this position and trying to. Whereas you have your own imagination. If you want to do something groundbreaking, why do you have to take a 50-year-old legacy or and do it with that and play with it like it's a fucking toy? This is somebody's baby and something that's tried and true that people care about. I suppose it could go either way, but Stan Lee said, yeah, it's established, leave it alone, essentially, in the Stan Lee way, not my way, because I don't have the charisma quite the charisma that guy has. I have some. I mean, charisma is not my dump stat, but but we're talking about Stan Lee here. He's like God level charisma, and he handled it, and then they tried to tear him apart for it. Fans and other people in the industry were appalled that he had told that reporter that we shouldn't do a homosexual version of Spider-Man. But I think he had a point. It had nothing to do with sexual orientation. It was just a matter of honoring your fans, and he cared about his fans. So, we should have listened to that. But all kinds of stuff happened. So then he kicks off, and then they take Spider-Man and they do all kinds of stuff with it. It's just like, okay, who cares about this legacy? Let's play. Let's build our own career off of this stuff that's been around for 80 years. And I'm not interested in it. So, where's the intelligence behind that to make something that the existing fans are not going to enjoy, to try to get this very small market, make something and pander to that market, or make something that might or might not work. You try it so you can put your name on it, so you can have your name on a Spider-Man book and say that I changed something, I did something. It's beyond me.
That's the.
I'd rather create my own shit.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of working with pre-existing characters. Is that kind of like a lot of the writers say, these are somebody else's set of crayons. You got to put them back where you found them eventually, because you can't irrevocably change a character because it's not yours. It's yours to play with, but you don't own it, so you have to put it back. And after
these
a while,
are people trying to grift a career off of someone else's creation. They take something that's already established and they think whatever they do with it, and they've got their name on it, they're trying to build this career, it's going to sell, but that's not the case. There's a reason why people like these stories. It's because they were well done. You can't just take and cram a bunch of ideas into it. That's just how I feel about it. I'm going to go to the chat real quick, Javier, and go through some of these because I don't want to get backed up. Mortal Thinker says, yep, I'm with the wizard. Canon is what keeps people interested in the universe you create. That's absolutely correct. The great creators that are behind these creations we're drawn to them as well. And you tend to like work from that person, that style, because everybody has their own writing style. And so yeah, I agree with you there. I think corporations don't want people to appreciate that. They want to be the canon of these creations, and I suspect that they might be deconstructing the market so they can build it in a corporate image. I've said it before, and recent events have just strengthened that hypothesis. So we'll have to see what happens. I say that we be vocal, let them know that we love these old creators and that we don't want this cold, faceless machine to pound out a bunch of stuff that we don't want. Dark Mad Bat says, I think people overlook something about the type of people that are in media nowadays, insisting on checking the boxes, especially on old established franchises. Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're dealing with the media, because I think it's along the same lines. Like, everybody's trying to make a name for themselves, especially nowadays. People are trying to outdo. There's a lot of shock value, and people are trying to outdo the other guy as far as these clickbait titles. They're trying to get people's attention that way, trying to outdo each other, and eventually it just gets absurd. Like, I think people just trying to get people's attention. There's such an oversaturation of media and content on the internet, and so it is essentially they're creating their own problem with that. The better the technology gets, and uh, the easier it is for people to create that content. The more content you're going to have, and then there's just a lot of competition. I think that breeds that kind of media and that kind of coverage. This is they treated Stan like Weekend at Bernie's. Poor guy was used and abused. Yeah, they were still carting him around to shows. I think he loved it, but I mean, he's 94 years old at the end. It's like I remember when they announced that they were going to stop doing shows. It's what it is. I'm not sure of the dynamics of it. If he was pushing, or if his agent was suggesting that he do them. Maybe Marvel was pushing as well, because he was doing all those cameos, so it was good for business to have him at a show. If they were showing merchandise from, or if they had a table where they're showing merchandise from the film. So it's not about improving anything. It's about subverting for the sake of subverting. Yeah, I think that I don't think maybe they feel like they're improving. I think a lot of these people are self-absorbed or they feel like they're they've got a chip on their shoulder and an ego because they got this job at a big publishing studio, and maybe they pulled all the right strings and got into that position. Maybe forgot to have talent. I'm not sure. I prefer to do my own stuff anyway. I'll write other people's stuff and I'll stay true, but I try to stay true to it. I have a huge questionnaire that I do, and I do a session with somebody before I write something that I don't own, so that I can stay true to it. And I always communicate. Any changes that I plan to do to the write-up, or anything that I want to add. So it's just part of the process. I want to honor what they're doing, and then I tell them what I'm going to add as far as my take on it. Get this guy. He's going to sleep. Cool, man. Go to bed. Go to bed, dude.
Okay. All right.
Wow,
Well,
this stream is fun. Good. Well, yeah, I want to show something real quick. I was just looking to do a quick stream this evening, and I got talking, but I wanted to show something real quick. I want to talk a little bit about RPG gaming.
Okay.
Joe and I are working. Joe's going to be my artist for Hayward Saints 8, and he's doing all original artwork for our characters. And we got a team of 5 that's going to do live D&D streaming. We're going to start our testing November 3rd, and right now we're getting everything set up as far as the visual, and they're building the maps as well. And so we're going to have all original artwork with it. This is actually Joe's project. He's the one who wanted to DM, and I'm just backing him up. And I'm probably going to write some content. Oh, watch War Campaign if you want to know. Someone must have asked about something. What do we got? Oh, right here. When is Vestige 2? I want to know. I also haven't gotten an update. Oh, there you go. Yeah, watch War Campaign. For sure. Yeah, Gat's been updating. I see something about the shipping every day. Vestige 2. They actually had an update today. They posted on Twitter, and you can watch War Campaign, and they've been regular. The variant cover they showed, and so you can get all your information from these guys. I'm excited about it. I thought the first book was great, and so I can't wait to get the second one. I don't simp, so if I say something, I mean it. If I don't feel that something's good and I want to be nice about it, I just won't say anything. But I don't go out of my way to say things that aren't true. So so I was happy to read that. I actually had to ask if it was his debut book, because it was very well written. So awesome, Gat. Awesome work. Keep it up, man. We're looking forward to seeing more from you, bud. I can't wait to get those books. And I can't wait for CG Jumpstart to go out too, man. I'm excited about that, about contributing to it. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure it's going to be amazing if it's anything like the first book. And also, Gat's been saying that he's almost more excited about the sequel here. He's got a lot of cool stuff planned in it. So yeah, look out for that sequel. You can get the first book in the campaign as well. But I'm excited about CG Jumpstart, and I'm excited about getting my books from Comicsgate, the books that I backed. There's a couple of books that are shipping soon. I think Grand Bazaar is shipping pretty soon. which is Jawbreakers 3. I'm excited to get that. That was supposed to ship, I think, in November, so I know that's coming out too. And so I'll be excited to get my copy of that. I was a day one backer on that when that came out. That looks fantastic. Can't wait to get my hands on Vestige 2, bruh. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a great book. But Joe's working with us on this project. We're gonna be live streaming. We're gonna play test. So we're gonna have all original art. And he's doing my graphic novel, like I mentioned. So you get to preview some more artwork there, and he's gonna be DMing. This is his baby. This campaign, he's completely creating it from scratch, and it's gonna be a jaunt in the astral plane with mind flayers and the Gith. And so it's going to be a cool, I want to say it's probably going to be a complete mind fuck if I know anything about Joe. And he's a very creative person, and it's going to look stunning. I showed some, I've showed some of his artwork online, but from what the stuff that I'm not allowed to show, because he told me I can't fucking show anybody because he's an asshole. It looks amazing. Yeah. Yeah, he shows me all this cool stuff, and then he tells me I can't show anybody. And it's like, Jesus, man, he's got maps that he's doing, like these 3D rendered maps. I want to say they're on a flat surface, but they're like 3D rendered. And yeah, it's gonna be cool. He's going all out. He's really into it. So so we're going to be doing those streams, and we're trying to bring awareness to Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, who are amazing creators. They had a book series recently that unfortunately was canceled when it was in the process, and it's a cultural tragedy to see these pioneer creators being treated this way. This is more along the lines of what we've been talking about this evening as far as comics, the creators versus this corporate image, and corporate is getting greedier. They're more aware of creators like Stan Lee, like people that are followed, people like McFarlane, Todd McFarlane, people that get a following and then are able to branch off and get something for themselves. And they want to try to discourage that as much as possible. They cycle artists out. They don't want people to get used to any one creator because they're trying to keep everything within their company. Giving power to creators and to fans that way is something they can't profit from. They can profit from it if they're the only place where you can get that work, but and I suspect that this is probably a cold corporate decision that led to them having their books canceled. I may be wrong, but I suspect that it might have been something along the lines like something with the content or something with the profits, or something wasn't right, and they decided to not. I guess they didn't cancel it. They decided to not approve any more drafts. So that's why it prompted them to unfortunately have to go to lawsuit. But these are amazing creators. I want to talk about the positive side of Dragonlance. These are the creators of Dragonlance. These are people who help build an entire culture of tabletop gaming. Gat Hanzo says it's coming soon. One last edit. We're ordering a print run at Crescent. Okay, so yeah, Vestige 2 is on the way. So there's the update that you have for anybody who's asking or interested in getting their copy. So that book's on the way. But back to Weiss and Hickman, these are people along with like Ed Greenwood, people who did TSR novels originally for Dungeons and Dragons, who did campaign settings, created these campaign settings for TSR, essentially built a tabletop gaming culture. There's so much that owes itself to those early moments where they sat down with Gary Gygax and play tested and created worlds, and so there are a lot of video games. Like I was talking today with a friend of mine. I was talking with Dan Marshall, and we were talking about how the video games I mentioned, Neverwinter Nights, came from Forgotten Realms, and there was a whole game series that came from that. They have an online game that's based in that world. Things that never would have come to pass if these guys wouldn't have created. Another example is like Drizzt. Everybody likes the stories that were written by R.A. Salvatore. Without a Forgotten Realms, we wouldn't have those as well. They're critically acclaimed novels. So that just gives you an idea of how these early pioneers have affected the market today as far as like gaming. And so like we need to preserve that. It's a resource. These people are national treasures. Like if you don't, even if you don't like Dungeons and Dragons or even like reading novels, you have to appreciate the fact that these were people who were there at the very beginning that started something. Something that was profound for many people. So and these companies are profiting from it, and you get new people that are profiting from it that don't appreciate it, don't appreciate these people, and the only way that that can be we can combat that is by fans being vocal, speaking up for them. You know what I mean? And let's see, Mortal Thinker. I've been doing a full playthrough of Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3 before. 1 and 2 before 3 comes out. Yeah, absolutely. I heard about Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, and I'm excited. I love the series, so I do a lot of gaming myself. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have time to dig into it, but we'll see. Because my plate's like super full right now, so we'll see if I'll be able to do that. Because I do like to have time for gaming when I do, and when I don't, I don't. I want to show something real quick to everybody. If you didn't see it on Twitter, I wanted to show this here. A beautiful moment online. Normally these moments we would see them at a convention, but we're not able to go to comic conventions, and a lot of us are online socializing, and so this was a beautiful moment that I saw the other day, where you have Ed Greenwood, the Edverse on Twitter, who's the creator for Forgotten Realms, interacting with Margaret Weiss, who's one of 2 creators of Dragonlance. Two people who were there at the very beginning, who are very familiar with each other's work. And you've got Ed Greenwood here saying this: Margaret and Tracy are great creators and loving, caring people. Stand not in the way of them telling stories, for we are all enriched by the tales they tell. And then you have the reciprocation here where Margaret Weiss, thank you at Edverse, with the hearts. Is a beautiful moment where you have that mutual respect between 2 creators who were there at the beginning, but also you have Ed Greenwood, who is an award-winning author. He's in the Gamers' Choice Hall of Fame, very well-known creator. He was my childhood hero writer, and him here on Twitter vocally and publicly sticking up for Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, talking about their work and telling this corporation, do not stand in the way of them telling stories, because we're all better for having these creators doing what they do, which is create. It was a beautiful moment.
Here comes the industry one more time, educating us on the inner workings of work for hire. This is work for hire. This has not changed since publishing has been publishing. Ed sold his Forgotten Realms campaign ideas to Wizards of the Coast, directly to TSR. Margaret Weiss, the Weiss couple, they wrote Dragonlance, which was developed for, the Dungeons and Dragons games. And, as fans, we do want them to create more stuff. But when corporations own ideas, they truly own them. It's not the creator. The creator doesn't matter. It's ownership, and the ownership is on the corporations. Corporations have no heart by definition. So you can't. I don't know why people keep expecting that corporations are gonna have a heart and be good people. They're not. Even the people who run them are not.
It's sad. They only care about money. Well, that's another.
That's
I
why
have
they're
a theory.
hired.
Well, at the same time, I also have a theory about that. They might be corporations and cold and calculating, like you're saying, but that model hurts creativity. I think you have people who are suits who don't create, don't write even, who are crunching numbers and making decisions at that level. But we can't forget that creative spark is what makes the content. What makes the content great, and we need good creators. And that system discourages creators. I wouldn't let any of those guys touch my work. I wouldn't try to pitch my work, my passion work, to people like that, because I want to own it and I want to see it done right. Now at the same time, these guys did create, like you said, for a corporation, but just because they don't own it doesn't mean that the fans don't. The fans want to see more from those creators, and that's why they fell in love with it in the first place. So there has to be some kind of give and take there. And in this situation, what we're seeing is no give and take. We're seeing, and it's not just because of Wizards. I suspect that Hasbro, because they own Wizards of the Coast, it may have changed some things recently. There's a lot of factors. I also heard that the editing team was changed after the first book was approved. So after the first book was approved, we get a new editing team, and there were a lot of changes, and it probably slowed the process up. I don't know. We're still waiting for some public something, some more public info on how everything's progressing. But yeah, I mean, it's what it is. People that, they created for a paycheck. They were working for a company and they were doing it passionately. And I don't think we want to lose that. I definitely want to fight for that, at least for them to finish the contract. You know what I mean? That's essentially what this is about. It's not them saying you can't write books. It's them making a contract, getting an entire novel into the series, and then saying we're not going to approve any more drafts. They didn't even cancel it, so they were stuck. They were dead in the water with a contract where they were expecting to put this out. And so, that's bad business practice, in my opinion. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't like to get on the technical side of it as much because they're definitely brave for taking the step. I like to talk about the creative side of it, and I definitely want to make fans aware so that they can show their appreciation for these great creators. I want to get to the chat before I get behind real quick.
Okay.
I've got Gat Hanzo says Weiss and Hickman are national treasures. I absolutely agree with that. We've got Crescent the Moon Man, The Forgotten Realms was a good read a few years ago. Read a couple. Yeah, absolutely. Everything in that campaign setting, it had rich lore to it, and the gods were very well done. If you go to the list of gods for the Forgotten Realms, so take a look at that for sure. The canon still matters, though. Yeah, Gat was saying that the canon still matters, and that's what it's about. I think that having passionate creators and encouraging them to continue and create is going to be good for our culture. And what's going to happen is if these legendary creators are treated this way, why is a new creator who has that spark, what's their incentive to go to any of these companies and try and make more Dungeons and Dragons content? So it dilutes or diminishes the quality of the content that we receive from them. Even though they're a big corporation, they're not going to be able to buy creativity because a creator doesn't want to get taken to the fucking cleaners on it. You know what I mean? Yeah, like if you're a savvy.
That's what these companies all do. You are a talent. I'm a talent. I can speak two languages. I got some skills. I hire myself out. Even if I hate the work, who's got to work? The corporation or us? Us worker bees got to work. That's the thing. So many people are hung up on, the creator should. Yes, but that's why, ideally speaking, as people who try to predict the future and try to write nice stories with great endings, creators always need to graduate from doing the corporate stuff to doing their own stuff so they can get all the rewards of their hard work. If it's always in somebody else's hand to make the decision to make a project go forward, then you're always slave to the process. And you're going to see, you've seen it. You've seen a lot of DC creators, a lot of Marvel creators. They've gone their own ways. They're doing their own comics. They're getting, their projects crowdfunded for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Listen, that's what you have to do. That's why the new creators, there will always be new creators and I hate to take the point of view of a corporation, but to a corporation, there will always be new creators wanting to prove themselves. And if you loan them a Spider-Man or a Dritz or Elminster, they're going to do something with it. And if you can get cheap labor to do it for you at a certain level, and you sell it, they make money, and that's ultimately what it is. Creative people, like you say, have to create. Yes, we do, but we really have to do it ourselves. That's why live streaming is important. That's why, what we're doing at CCS is important. That's why our ability to bring our message directly is very important. It's the key to us reaching the future that we want, which is to be independent, which is to be owning everything that we do and recovering all the effort that we put into our projects, getting it back.
Absolutely, and I think that our studio message of creativity first and foremost has 100%. Not only the message, but it's been the theme at the studio, and it's what I love about creating at the studio. That everybody's so good in the collaboration. They encourage creativity, and so that's an environment that I feel like I can work in and I want to create in, and we come up with good shit because of it, because we respect each other's ideas and we're willing to put that time in to bounce ideas. So Mortal Thinker says here, creators got to find ways to create and keep their own IPs. Hail Vestige. Absolutely. Exactly. That's a perfect success story. You guys have done very well with that book. It's a great book. I put the hard work in, and you've done it for yourselves. So the war campaign community as well, backing it up. So it's a beautiful thing. I was happy with my copy. I can't wait for the second one. Exactly, moral, not sell out for vestige ever. Yeah, and this is Gat's baby too. You could tell that he's passionate about writing it, and so I'm happy to hear that he's going to continue to write it and he's not looking to sell it out. That's good news for that title. And so we've got Alexis James says, "Sup, Jav." Oh yeah, you
What's
have a friend
up,
that came in.
Alex? How you doing? Congratulations to your Dodgers for winning the World Series. I don't hate you. I just don't like you right now for rubbing it in my face.
Oh, we're gonna get some sports rivalry up in here. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
All
know.
right, go ahead.
All right, man,
Feel.
it's one of those things, man. When I was growing up, I was both into the sports and into geek stuff. So,
I didn't
you
know
know,
you were sore about it, Alex. If you have anything that you want to put in the chat to make Javier uncomfortable, or if you would like to say anything to bring up that sports rage within him, please feel free to post it here in the chat so that we can all read it and laugh at Javier.
uh,
Thank you.
oh,
Don't underestimate the ability of creators to screw up their own IPs. I'm looking at you, Bungie. Okay. I'm not familiar with who Bungie is, but maybe I missed something on
what?
it. But
I know Bungie. Come on, man.
yeah, but let's see, creators screw up that. Yeah, I mean, their opinions. People are allowed to have opinions. It's even if it's something that I haven't experienced. I mean, that's it's what it is. You got to take it all. You got to be able to take it all, and you got to be able to humbly apply it all if necessary. You got to look at it. We talked about it before. The example of
Hmm.
taking advice from people. It's a skill to be able to take feedback and regardless of where it's coming from, be able to turn it into something. Use it. LA winning everything this year. Cat Hanzo says.
Not hockey.
Hey, honey. Yeah, so we're going to wrap this up. I think it's getting a little late on my end. And so we're probably going to call it. I'm going to. Is there anything that you would like to tell everybody, Javier, before I call it for the night?
Well, I need 30 minutes. I get 3. Here we go. All right. So, well, listen, of course, I want to shout out to a lot of my collaborators here. I can't name them all because I honestly, it's late. I can't remember them. But um, my project of passion, of course, is my own comic book project, Overwatch, which was in creation before, that little video game came out a couple years back. So a shout out for that book. I, my association with Transformers has been fantastic. I love doing that one cover I did for IDW. I love to do more. I love to do it again with Martin and Ali. My current collaborators, Jesse on American Eagle. Looking forward to getting that book completed next year and getting it, in the hands of people because this book has been in the works for some time, and I've learned so much just doing research on what Vietnam looks like, what people dress like. I mean, you don't think about this stuff when you're drawing regular comics. You don't think about how do I draw an era appropriate and location appropriate trees and sidewalks and weapons and clothings. But in order to sell the period, I got to. So I learned a lot from that. I've been drawing Bobby Fulton, so I've been learning a lot about wrestling and trying to catch him in the middle of that action to reflect the moves of the characters of the people. Getting likenesses down is hard, but it's rewarding work. I love doing it. Of course, the martial arts book that I'm working on, Green Tempest. Uh, um, that's a labor of love, and thank you for the opportunity. Um, you know, I, I what else can I say? I can just be grateful to my parents for their support. Grateful to my wife and my child for loving me through all this, even though I take time away from them to do this. Thank you. And of course, I will always apologize for those people that I've let down. And um, there were 2 projects that I really kind of screwed the pooch, and, and they shall remain nameless, but they know who they are. Lincoln and Brett and JD. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's old hurt, but I carry that, and I try to be a better man, a better artist ever since. Um, but otherwise, man, I'm happy. I'm content. Uh, I love drawing comics. I love buying comics. I love indie comics because they give me what corporate comics don't give me. They give me something new that I've never seen before. So I'm all for this industry. I'm all for indie comics, and I want them to succeed. And if I can buy them $5 at a time, $10 at a time, that's my contribution. But I totally believe in what we're doing, and I want to see more issues too. I want to see graphic novels. I want to see this let me call it middle class comics make the big time, man. Image can't be the only success story of independent comics. It can't be. There has to be more. Yeah, we should put our efforts behind IDW and Dark Horse and um, you know, hey, even AC Comics, which I drew for them for almost a year. Drawing Fem Force and stuff. We can't bastardize our own industry. Corporate comics will always make comics, no matter if they sell 10,000 copies, 5,000, or 50,000. You know that. I know that. But creators survive off of every book that they sell at a convention, every book they sell at one of these, interactions. So support indie comics, support your indie scene, support indie music, man, uh, and then support creators. Creators create. Everybody else consume the heck out of it, have fun with it, share it, and come back tomorrow because we got more where that came from.
Oh, that sounds great, Javier. Yeah, absolutely. You have to keep creating, and also for supporting independent. I think that's where it's at. I think to get our new ideas, you need to go into the independent community because the technology is caught up to the point where savvy creators can create their own work and produce it themselves. They don't have to go to these large publishers to get work out anymore. Sure, it's a little smaller than having that promotion of that beast, but at the same time, you own it and you get to do it your way, and you get to be creative, and you're not answering to anybody, and you're telling a linear story that you want to tell. It's a tough road. I've spent a lot of years learning the hard way sometimes, and I had to ask a lot of questions, and I had to have a lot of eyes on my work. And I was lucky, very lucky to get in with you guys. Jesse Hansen spent a lot of time with me. A lot of you guys spent a lot of time with me. The guys taught me how to draw. The guys gave me writing advice and referred me. If Jesse didn't know, he knew someone who did. And that's a beautiful thing too, because if you're willing to put the work in, even if you're not there or you're missing something or someone tells you you're missing something, if you're willing to work, it's going to get there. And I'm willing to work. I have a good work ethic. If I want to do something, and also I'm stubborn. So if I want to do something, then I do it. And so I told myself I was going to do this, and so that's how I got to where I'm at now. So thank you. Platform, network, create. Yeah, it's stuff. We were talking about that the other day, Mortal Thinker. I think that's a great point, as well as that with like networking, creating. There's another thing too, is that mainstream, there can be some fucky shit going on with it, but at the same time, independent learns from that, and you do have independent cliques that are the industry can be cliquey at that level as well. And I've witnessed a lot of it, people where our guys are very talented, and you see people that don't reciprocate support, that turn their nose up. And I've had multiple people too as well, like two publishers try to ask me to leave Cornerstone with my work and then go and publish with them, and they offered me a publishing deal, and they badmouth Jesse. And so there's definitely some dirty shit going on in independent as well. Some stuff that made me sick personally. When people act like that, it's just cutthroat. And I've seen a lot of it that I didn't experience myself, but I heard stories about it. So it's tough. It's not like, and the reason why I mentioned that is when I first got into it, I was like, man, this is going to be great. I'm going to find my Jack Kirby. I've got my story all planned out. And we're going to team up, and we're going to take this shit over. And it's not always like that. Right. And there's a reality that, artwork isn't fucking cheap. And there's also the reality that there are a lot of other people that view you as competition. I got stomped by a lot of guys who have a lot of experience. There were guys like you guys that were good to me, but there are a lot of guys too that had no problem planting their foot firmly in my chest and say, you're out of your league, kid, or you don't know what you're doing. Stay out of my way. You shouldn't be writing, So I say, fuck that shit. If you work at it hard enough, anybody can do it. Just have to be willing to put in the work and use your instincts and find people who are good people who will encourage creativity and not try to fucking kick you while you're down. You try to find people who will give you honest advice and give you advice that'll help you based on experience. They won't send you down send you on a wild goose chase, or give you information that's useless. You got to be. I have a lot of life experience, so I can smell dog shit a mile away, and I can see red flags, and you got to use that. You got to use your instinct, real life instinct as well, to not get in with people who are going to take your time up and give you nothing in return, or people who are going to give you empty promises, or people who are those kind of things. Just like in real life, it's a direct reflection of society. All of any part of entertainment, yeah, it might be more embellished because it's entertainment, but essentially it's full of people, and we know people are unpredictable. You know what I mean? I've been very lucky because I've found my way with people that are decent that I like, and people over at War Campaign have been awesome, and their show's very entertaining. I suggest anybody go and watch it. It's a lot of fun. They're and as well, they go on D Live because they don't want to be censored. YouTube has a lot of censorship fail safes in place, those kind of things, and so you go over there. It's not something. It's something for adults, and I suggest anybody go and watch because these guys are fucking funny. They have good chemistry on the show. They're smart. They have good insight on the industry. They're into comics and a lot of aspects of entertainment. So go. And then my guys at Cornerstone too. If you see them at a show and you see their work, buy their work. Our guys are talented. So I've been lucky to get in with guys like you and like them. Find my way there with people that have never lied to me and that have been decent to me. And I hope that everybody finds that.
Exactly.
Who's passionate about creating. If you're not serious about it, you think that you're just coming in, you want to be lazy, not put in the work. I hope you don't find that. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but you know what I mean? It's what it is, man. If you care about it, then I think that you'll find people who care about what you're doing. But there's, that's what it is.
Let me give one last shout out to one of my most recent connections that I've made with RMD Comics. David Sumney, I did a cover for his indie book Return to Sender, which is about a post officer set in the cowboy era, and he encounters supernatural stuff. And one of the most recent pieces I just finished this weekend is for a horror movie. Since we're in October, movie's called Naked Cannibal Campers, and he's doing a comic book adaptation of the horror movie, and he hired me to draw a cover of it. Well, two of them actually. So just my last plug. I'm sorry. I have to pay my dues. So.
Absolutely. No, that's very cool though. And that's another thing that I like as well. Work with Cornerstone Crew Studios. The guys always support each other, and we shout out and we credit people for their work. And so that's just been the way it is across the board. So, and everybody appreciates that you're shouting out to people that you work with and people that you appreciate getting work. You appreciate people that you work with, and I know that about you, Javier. I know you're good shit, so that's why I'm glad that you came on the show. Yeah, man, I'm happy to call you friend. No, I'm happy to call you friend. We have to do this more too. Make some more time to stream with me or what.
Okay, well, yeah, you can count on me for at least once a month. I'll jump on here and share my newest stories and whatever art. I'll be much better prepared to share the recent stuff. It's I hate calling it networking because it's I'm not good at this in person over the phone, and so this is great. It's super easy. All I got to do is wait for my chance to jump in and talk.
It's kind of hard to do with me because I know it's hard to get a word in with me.
Nothing I'm not used to, man. But it's one of those things. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to reach out, even if it's one or two more people that don't know me, and they get to know me a little bit by, my appearances here, my art, my opportunity to share my art, and for people to find me. You can find me. Just do a Google search for J Lugo art. About 90% of the artwork you're gonna see on comics is mine. If it doesn't look like me, it still may be me. Nah, it's not, but you get it. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on DeviantArt, and I even got a YouTube channel there. So, and actually, I'm creating a course. Believe it or not, I'm creating a drawing course I'm going to teach on YouTube starting in January to get people from the beginning all the way to drawing comics. I'm going to plan a curriculum. I'm going to evaluate it myself, and And yeah, okay, hon, I'm done. All right, thank you, love you, bye, good night.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, it's getting pretty late here, man. I think I'm going to. I think we're going to call it. I'm going to play my outro too as well. Usually I do it the other way around, but I did my outro and my intro backwards today. I just want to feature this right here as well. I want to. Mortal Thinker says, "A friend will bail you out of jail. A best friend will be sitting in there with you. War Campaign is that best friend." And just from my experience, I absolutely believe it. Since February, these are people who have been completely honest with me. I've had questions, and dudes have been cool with me. So that's something that I appreciate, and that's what I want. I want people that are like me, that wear it on their sleeve, and that are honest and will go in the shit with you. You know, not people who are going to talk about it. You know, these guys have always done exactly what they say they're going to do, and they've always been very cool. So, you know, I appreciate that. I think you're right, man. So I'm gonna play this here. I appreciate you guys all for watching. We're gonna play this outro, and then we're gonna call it. So this is. I'd like to thank Ed Greenwood for doing the voice lines for this outro. I'd also like to thank the Holy Goat for his sound remix of the vocals and the sound. It turned out beautifully, and Cornerstone Creative Studios for doing all the artwork. So. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share screen here. Voice lines by the great Ed Greenwood, creator of Forgotten Realms.
All right.
Let me just make sure I got my screen right. Yes, I do. All right.
I didn't get to share my dragon stories.
Welcome, sisters and brothers in arms. We honor those who follow the old, nearly forgotten code of honor. Our metal we wear proudly, like the scars we earn to keep our magnificent sovereignty. Our reverence to each other is only matched by our incorruptible allegiance to our morality and ideals. Warrior kings and queens sit blooded in thrones of shattered bones. Lives are but fragile drops of rain. We all fall down vehemently, yet we remain inevitable. For truth to victory, for honor infinitely, we uphold the code and embody it with a quality example. We are mighty. We are unwavering. We are inexorable.
Hell yeah, Comic G's, motherfucker. Alright, now all you guys have a good night.